Hello, children. We have seen the story of Chile and Poland. How the what happened in Chile and Poland. How the democracy was turned to the dictators. Here we will see the phases in the expansion of democracy. The you will see in your history book that how popular uprising took place in France in 1789. So French Revolution which took place in 1789, there were several ups and downs which was there. The people were struggling for democracy, and number of events that took place in France as you have seen in your history book. Along with we will see the Britain also, the progress towards the democracy started much before the French Revolution. In Britain also there were monarchical system. The progress, the struggle for democracy which was started much before in Britain, but this progress was very slow. And the number of events that took place in 18th and 19th century to reduce the power of the monarch and the feudal lord. Here we will see what is the meaning of feudal. Feudal comes from the Latin word which means land. The king used to give the land to the nobles, the higher nobles, like you can say the serf, baron, and the knight. The lowest category of the noble was knight. So feudalism system was there in Europe, especially in the middle of the history, especially in 8th to 15th century. Even right to vote was not granted to all the people, and more people, which was not granted in Britain also. We will take the case of USA. USA also adopted the democratic constitution in 1787. But right to vote was not given to everyone. Right to vote was given on the basis of wealth. Right to vote was not given to the black one. Only white used to enjoy all the freedom. In America, USA also. European countries were becoming democratic, did not initially allow all the people right to vote. So as you have seen the three maps, 1900 to 1950, 1950 to 1975, what all changes? No problem. The growth of democracy which was there in each and every growth of expansion of democracy which was more and more, but it was late, delayed, and some of the country which became democratic but immediately turned into the monarchical or the military form of government. And in some of the centuries, those who had more and more property, they had the right to vote. Women were not allowed to vote. Women were not given the right to vote. That means women were not equal at par with the man. And those struggling for democracy wanted this right and those who struggle, they wanted that everyone should be given the equal right to vote. Universal adult franchise means right to vote should be given universally. Means everyone, universal adult franchise means, or adult suffrage means, all the people should be given right to vote without any discrimination of caste, creed, color, gender, etc. Gender before the law, you can say. Here we will see how the this right, this box will tell you that which all country granted the universal adult suffrage in the world. As you can see in the map, by 1900, New Zealand was the only country where every adult had voting right. So New Zealand got the voting right initially in the beginning, as you could see in the map. The country which marked democracies by the beginning of 20th century, they were, so to beginning of the 20th century, the countries which became democratic or which achieved democracy, they were Europe, North America and Latin America. Latin America, you can say the more and more countries of the South America, that comes under the Latin America. The next heading which is given in your book, end of colonialism. So we will understand what is colony. As you know, the many foreign power which came to the Asian and African countries, Asia and African countries, and captured or make the Asian African countries as a colony. The foreign power or the other countries people, they come to our home country. Like I can give you the example, like Britain or England, who came to India and make India as a colony. They came for the purpose of trade, but they never went back. They stayed over here and they established their rules and regulations over here. They had given their language and all this. So colonialism, the foreign countries, they visited to the other countries and make their countries as a colony. So most of the Asian African colonies under the control of the European nations, they struggle for long to liberate themselves from their masters or from the foreigners. India also struggled for a long, more than 200 years, to liberate themselves from the colonial rule, that is Britain. Many of these countries became democracies after the Second World War, which ended in 1945. As you know, the First World War, which started in 1914 and ended in 1918. Then Second World, after that Treaty of Versailles, which was signed, but Treaty of Versailles was of no use. Then another Second World War, which took place in 1939 to 1945. And then after that the UNO was formed, and we will learn about the UNO later on. The country of Ghana, I can give you the example of Ghana, which is a country in Africa, Western Africa. Ghana used to be the British colony named, Ghana was also under the control of British. They named Gold Coast. Ghana was called the Gold Coast by the British, and it became independent in 1957. It was the first country among Africa to gain independence in 1957. So Ghana was the first country who gained the independence from the British in 1957. And it also inspired many of the African countries to gain independence uh, from their master. So who was the active member in Ghana? His name was Nkrumah, Kwame Nkrumah. Kwame Nkrumah, he was the son of Gold Smith and himself a teacher, was active in independence struggle of his country. So after independence, Ghana got independence in 1957. Nkrumah became the first prime minister and then the president of Ghana. So as I told you, the Kwame Nkrumah, he was the son of Goldsmith and a teacher. Nkrumah was very influenced by the Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, who was our first prime minister, and also the inspiration to the rest of the democrats in Africa. And Nkrumah got himself elected president for lifetime. So Nkrumah was the Ghana president for the life. In 1966, he was again overthrown by the military coup. So Ghana could not continue for the long. It became democracies in 1957. Again, the democracies was overthrown in 1966. So around 9 years there was democracies in Ghana, and like Ghana there were most of the countries had the mixed record of becoming democracies, but their democracies could not retain for long. So most of the countries which became democracies, but they could not remain democracies for the long. Sometimes they were overthrown by the military coup, and sometimes they were overthrown by the dictator, as we can also see the case of Pakistan, and also we could see the North Korea in television which comes. So we could see the recent phase. As we discussed, the Poland was the communist country. Poland was also the communist country and supported by the Soviet Union, USSR, as we have discussed earlier. So Poland, even more, Soviet Union supported more and more countries, more and more communist countries, and in Eastern Europe. So Soviet Union was one of the big nation, and it comprised of the 15 republics, and all the constituent republics emerged as independent countries. Most of them became democracies, which led to the big changes in the political map in the world. So after disintegration of the USSR or Soviet Union, many of the countries of USSR became independent, and they established their democracies, and major changes took place in India's neighbors also. The Pakistan and Bangladesh also made change from army rule to democracies in 1990. Pakistan and Bangladesh also became India's neighbor. They became democracies in 1990s. Nepal king gave up. Nepal was the monarchical state and gave up its power to the constitutional monarch as guided by the elected leader. However, the changes was not long or not permanent. In 2005, the new king of Nepal again dismissed the elected government. So again, the Nepal became the monarchical in 2005. In 2008, Nepal was emerged as a democratic republic after abolishing. So again, Nepal became Nepal achieved democracies in 2008. So several ups and downs we could see in the world, uh, how the democracies was changed into the monarchical government. Monarchy government was changed into the dictatorship form of government. This type of changes we could see from the 20th century to 21st century. In 1999, our India's neighbor Pakistan, General Pervez Musharraf, who also brought back the army rule in Pakistan. In 2008, Pakistan also became the democratic again after abolishing military rule. By 2016, about 140 countries holding multi-party system. So no doubt the multi-party system, as you know, you have seen the case of Poland, there was only one party and one party was supposed to come and win the election, and there were no other choice to the people of that place. But after that, especially in 21st century, we could see the more and more multi-party, they could stood in the election, they win the seat, even people respect the democracies. And in this way, even today, there are many countries which cannot, where people cannot express their opinion freely. Today also we can say the many countries in the world, in 21st centuries also, many countries in the world, people cannot express their opinions and they cannot elect their leaders, and people cannot take decisions about their future's life. And we can watch in the television nowadays about the North Korea, the dictator Kim Jong, one of the big dictator over there. Even sometime we could see our neighboring state, that is Pakistan. The Prime Minister cannot take the independent decision without the uh, help of the military general. So in this way, and now we will talk about the Myanmar, our India's neighbor, and that Myanmar was previously known as Burma. It also gained freedom from the colonial rule and became the democracy in 1948. So Burma, the new name is Myanmar, and it also became democracies in 1948. But democratic rule ended with military coup. Again, the military power attacked on Myanmar in 1962, and again the Burma became the military, come under the military control. And after 30 years, in 1990, elections were held for the first time in Burma or Myanmar. The National League for Democracy, NLD, led by Suu Kyi, won election. So NLD full form is National League for Democracy, fought the election, and the Suu Kyi leader won the election. Suu Kyi was the lady, won the election, but military dictator was not ready to accept the decision of the people and not ready to recognize the result which comes, election result. So, and Suu Kyi was arrested, and all the political activists, they were arrested and put behind the jail or bar. Anyone caught publicly issuing a statement were put in prison for 20 years. You see, despotic rule in Myanmar. Those who spoke against the military power, they were put behind the jail for 20 years. Due to despotic rule of military, 6 to 10 lakh people were devastated, or you can say uprooted, and went to somewhere else and taken the shelter in some other places. And despite being house arrest by the Suki, Suchi, Suchi continued its campaign for democracy, and her struggle won international recognition. The people of the international world, they used to see the Suchi strife, and Suchi awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, and finally the National League for Democracy (NLD) fought the historic election in 2015, and Democratic Republic was established. So this was the one small ups and downs, what happened in the foreign, what happened in the world and various countries, what ups and downs which took place in democracies. By these examples we can understand how our democracies was influenced, but no doubt more and more people of the world, they believe on the democracies, and they even people, because in democracies won't allow any despotic despotic type of setups in the state. Democracy allows all the rights to the people of the world. So in this way we can say the many countries in 21st century, they are in favor of this democracies, and they try to establish democracies, but still there are some of the monarchical form of government are there in the world. Next heading is democracy at the global level. Some of the children, we are learning about the democracy at the contemporary, democracy in the contemporary world. So democracy, we have learned the various definitions of democracy, that people has given much importance in democracy. Here we will talk about in India there are the various organizations which could control and maintain the law and order. These organizations, you can call it institution. The government institutions are legislative, executive and judiciary. Legislative, which makes the law; executive, which executes the law; and judiciary, which interprets the law. In the same way, there are for the international world, there are some institutions which looks after the international matters. If clashes between the two countries, our sea boundary is also not fixed. So to fix the sea boundary or clashes in the sea or ocean, problem of environmental degradation or environmental issue, security issues in the world, all these are looked after by the international organization. As I discussed you before, that after the First World War, when the League of Nations was not successful, then Second World War took place, and after the Second World War, UNO was formed in 1945 for the maintenance of peace and security in the world. So as you could see, in every nation there is a particular government which could look after the internal affair. In the same way, in the international world or in the foreign countries, the UNO, which could look after the affair of the world, there are 193 countries which are the member of the UNO according to the 193 countries, the member of the UNO in 2011. So as I told you, it looks after, it governs the seas problem. UN makes the rule to governs the seas and do not fall the that do not fall the boundaries of any one country. The UN takes steps to control environmental degradation that threaten all the countries together. The UN Secretary General is its chief administrative officer. UN also have the several organs. The organs are the General Assembly. First one is General Assembly. Second, Security Council. Third is International Court of Justice. Fourth one is Economic and Social Council. Fifth one is Trusteeship Council. And sixth one is Secretariat. Along with the organs, there are a number of agencies of the UNO. Some of the major agencies are UNICEF, United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund. It looks after the problem of the mother and the children. And WHO, it looks after the health affair. World Health Organization. UNESCO, United Nations Educational, Scientific, Cultural Organization. And along with that, there are two more, IMF and World Bank. These two, there are 4 or 5 agencies of the UNO which looks after the work of the members countries. So United Nations came into existence on October 24th, 1945. From then onwards, 24th October is celebrated as the UN Day every year. So we will see one by one. General Assembly is just a word, parliament, how our India has the parliament in New Delhi. So our Indian Parliament also takes the decision for the whole country. In the same way, the General Assembly, the World Parliament, which also takes the decision for the member countries of the world, and that decision is based on the majority. And UN Security Council, the Security Council, second organs of the UNO, is responsible for the maintenance of peace and security among countries. It can put together the international army and take action against the wrong doers. Those who are doing those countries do some wrong, immediately UN Security Council may send the army to that country to maintain law and order. The UN agencies like IMF and the World Bank, that also gives the loan to the needy countries or to member countries, and before lending the loans they ask all the concerned government to show the accounts and also uh, and also direct it to make changes in its economic policy. So next heading is given in your book. Are these decisions democratic? So UN General Assembly has one vote in the UN General Assembly. It meets yearly. UN General Assembly meets yearly or held its yearly session under a president elected from among the representatives of the member countries. The General Assembly is like a parliament where all decisions takes place. But here one thing, as we could see in our parliament, the decision is based on the majority. But here the UN General Assembly cannot take the decision directly on the basis of majority, because in UN General Assembly or UN Security Council, which is the organs of the UNO, those who contribute more and more finance, more and more money in the UN Security Council, they got the veto power. So it is important that if any decision which is taken by the General Assembly on the basis of majority, that cannot be applied. Why? Because all the countries of the world do not contribute much money as the major superpower countries contribute. And these major superpower countries, they had the veto power. Veto means I prohibit. Veto means I prohibit. So the 5 countries, there in UN Security Council, there are 15 members. 15 members are there in the Security Council. 5 members are permanent and 10 are non-permanent, that are elected for the period of 2 years. The 5 permanent members are USA, Russia, UK, France and China, because they contribute more and more money in the UN Security Council or with the UNO. And that is why they had more to say in the UNO. And this real power is with these 5 permanent members, and in which the US contribute more and more money. That's why the US has more to say with these organs. So you have seen the UNO cannot take decision directly on the basis of majority. If any of the decision which is taken by the UN General Assembly, if these veto power countries say no to that decision cannot be applicable or cannot be applied. And many of the countries of the world, or member countries of the world, they protested on these issues that UNO should become more and more democratic. But because of this powerful countries, or because of their contribution, more and more contribution in the UNO, this veto power was not yet removed, and due to that the decision of the UNO depends on the 5 permanent member. If any one of the permanent member says no to that decision of the General Assembly, that decision cannot be applied. We will see the IMF also have 189 member states. This is the IMF have 189 members state as on 12th April 2016 and did not have equal voting right. The vote of each country is weighed by how much money it has contributed to the IMF. The same thing is there in IMF also. IMF have 189 member states, but here also those who contribute more and more money in the IMF. So there are IMF decision or International Monetary Fund, which country has given which member country can take this much fund. That depends on the 7 countries. So more than 40% of the voting power in the IMF is in the hands of only 7 countries. So these 7 countries have more and more voting power. That is USA, Japan, Germany, France, UK, Italy, Canada. So they got more and more 40% of the voting power because they contribute more and more money in the IMF. The remaining 182 countries have very little to say in the IMF, and the World Bank has the similar system of voting. The president of the World Bank has always been a citizen of the US, traditionally nominated by the Treasury Secretary, Finance Minister of the US government. So World Bank has the similar way of voting how the IMF have, and World Bank members are nominated by the Finance Minister of the US government. So it is important that we must compare that how far these decisions are democratic, because all the power which are in the hands of 5% of the members, because they hold the voting power, they hold majority of voting power. So most of our global institutions fail to pass the simple test of democracy that our India use for national government. When you talk about the India's decisions are based on majority. As you have seen that if any decision which are taken by the parliament, that is based on the either the 2/3 of the majority or the more than half of the majority. So all the decisions which are taken on the basis of majority. But here our world institutions, Security Council, General Assembly, the agencies have like IMF, World Bank, they are not as democratic as our Indian government. And because of this American dominance over the IMF, World Bank, and the organs of the UNO affects the working of the international organizations. Another heading which is given in your book, that is democracy promotion. Before going to this heading, democracy promotion, we have some question. The US or any other country, any other powerful country, which are which are attacking forcefully on the dictatorship country, or military form of government. If suppose a powerful country or superpower which attacked on the underdeveloped countries or developing countries, how far it is justifiable to maintain to establish the democracy over there. Here the example is given. The US have launched armed attack on non-democratic countries. Let us see what happened in Iraq. It is in the Western Asia. So in Iraq, the US and its allies, Britain, attacked on Iraq, pretending that they had the nuclear weapon. This Iraq became free from the British rule because it was the colonial state, and it became free from the British rule in 1932. Iraq was ruled by the Arab Socialist Ba'ath Party. Ba'ath, B-A-T-H. Ba'ath means, in Arabic word, renaissance. And Saddam Hussein was the party leader since 1968. So its leader was Saddam Hussein since 1968. And before Saddam Hussein, military coup was ruling over the Iraq. Arab Socialist Party had abolished traditional Islamic laws, gave women right to vote, and several freedom not granted in other West Asian countries. Saddam Hussein became president of Iraq in 1979 and ran dictatorial government. And he applied suppressive measure against the minorities and opponents. The US and its allies, Britain, pretended that Iraq has this nuclear weapon of mass destruction, and which posed big threat to the world. So UN team visited Iraq and found no nuclear weapon over there. So when UN team visited over there and found no nuclear weapon, but in spite of that, the US and its allied Britain invaded Iraq and occupied Iraq and removed Saddam Hussein, and the US installed its interim government of its preference. And the war against the Iraq was not authorized by the UN Security Council. Security Council had not given sanction to such type of war. The UN Secretary General Kofi Annan, who said the war on Iraq was illegal. So after learning these stories, it is important that we must think that is this right way to promote democracy in the world? It is totally wrong and wrong way which our superpower Britain and US did in Iraq. So just you think over it about the superpower and the US and as well as the US and its allies Britain and Iraq, how far is it is justiciable, how the action of US and Britain was justiciable over the Iraq. Now this chapter is over.